Hello and welcome to this Tuts Plus series Tumblr Theming 101. In this video we're going to look at how we can make customization of our theme easier using Tumblr's appearance options. Now before we start I would state that I actively encourage including some appearance options in your theme. The idea is that when somebody purchases your theme, we want to make it as easy as possible for somebody to tweak or adjust or personalize that theme to their tastes. Now, instead of having to dive into the CSS and change colors, etc., etc., Tumblr provides some appearance options which are written very similar to our variables, which we can use throughout our theme. These then link up with the customize screen, and the user can then input their own appearance data and we can use it throughout the theme. So let's give you a quick example of the UI for these appearance options. Now there are 6 appearance options: image, color, font, select, boolean or checkbox, and then text. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how the UI for these works, and then I'm going to explain how we actually save and link these up in our theme. So as I said, Tumblr provides some appearance options. Now the first one I want to discuss is image. Tumblr allows or provides the option for a user to upload an image to be used within your theme. As you can see here, I've already marked up, or I've already created the markup for these demo examples. These won't be included in the final theme, but this is just to give you an idea of how the UI works. So as you can see, we have this image example, and this is an image option, an image appearance option. And what the user needs to do is they click the upload button. They would then select the image they want to upload and then click OK. This image is then uploaded to Tumblr's content delivery network, and we are then able to reference it and use it somewhere else in our theme. The next appearance option is color, and again this relates to color, be it background color, text color, border color, etc., etc. We can use the color on pretty much anything we want. Now if the user clicks on the predefined color, which again I'll explain how to do later on in this video, they can then move around and pick a new color. Notice how on the updated version of the dashboard, the updated version of the customized screen, the previous color remains and the new color is also shown. Now this is handy in case, in case you wanted to say you wanted a lighter shade of this aubergine purple color, like so. Now, as I said, they can use the sliders, or they can input a hex color manually, like so. The next appearance option is font. Now, the font appearance option will list off a selection of fonts. Now, these fonts are actually stored on the Tumblr's content delivery network. So these we cannot set ourselves if we use the Tumblr's font appearance option. So these are fonts that Tumblr's already uploaded, and once selected, that will allow us to use the named font in our theme. Now again, as I mentioned before, Tumblr prefers to, and with good reason, keep everything related to a theme in its own distribution network, so its content delivery network. So these fonts are delivered directly from the Tumblr CDN. The next appearance option is a select. So again, a select acts very similar to fonts, as in it's a drop-down list, but this will then return a specific data tag that we set, or a specific string of data. Finally, we have the boolean, or the if, or the checkbox example, and this is basically an on-off. So I would use this to maybe enable or disable a feature. So the Tumblr base that we've used already has enabled Twitter feed. Currently it's set to off. This Boolean example here is currently set to on. The last of the appearance options are classed as text or text inputs. So as you can see, again, with the Tumblr base, we already have defined Google Analytics ID and Twitter username. And for the example, I've just put in text example hi, and you can change this to my name is Mike or whatever text you want. Now this is handy if you would like to include either some social links or a alternative description or a welcome message or basically any sort of text or string related content in a theme. Now I usually use these for social links as mentioned before, so that is the text appearance option. So there are the options and how the UI works from a user's point of view. Now I'm going to go to the documentation and I'm going to go to the section marked appearance options, and what I want to do now quickly is I just want to show you how these all link together. So at the beginning of the series I mentioned that Tumblr provides something called theme operators, which allows you to code a theme and then tell Tumblr where to return specific content using variables. Now remember that a variable is named, and what happens is when Tumblr reads that named variable, it knows what content to return. So for instance, if we use the variable name title, like so, that will return the blog title. Now these appearance options act in the same way. The only difference is we define the data and we define the names. Now we define the data and the names using something called metatags. Now when we looked at the Tumblr base, there were a few metatags already included. So, for instance, there's this description here. Now, with appearance options, we define these ourselves. They are named just as the code inside them is slightly different, but it's quite easy to understand. So let's take a look at the first example here, which discusses custom colors, and let's take a look at the background color example. So what we need to do is first we need to define what type of appearance option it is, then we need to give it a name, and then we need to give it some default content. So that's the first part. And then we need to go through in our theme and we need to then call it or refer to it. So think of this meta like the data that's stored on the Tumblr server, and then think about these appearance variables as just using a regular variable. So just for an example, let's start using a color meta tag. So again, as I mentioned, in the name, the very first part relates to what sort of option it is. So as you can see here, this is for colors and it's prefixed with color. If we scroll through the documentation, as you can see, there's one here for font. This if one relates to the Boolean or the one I called a checkbox. This select relates to the select or the drop-down list. This text one here relates to text or imports. And then this image one relates to images. So that is how we tell Tumblr what kind of appearance option this is going to be. So we're going to say here color. Like so. Now we need to give this color option a name so we can refer to it later on throughout the theme. So let's just put it as background. So as you can see now, we've set up a color option and its name is background. And then finally, we need to set up some default content for this. Now, think of default content as the information that Tumblr should return whenever we use this appearance variable named background. So in this instance, I'm just going to use white, which is FFF, like so, and then close the meta tag. So there we have it. We've defined our first color option. Our first appearance option, which is a color. To use it, it's very similar to how we use a variable. The only one that doesn't really work the same way as a variable are these booleans if checkbox appearance options, which I'll discuss later on. So to use it, what we do is usually we would do this. Oops. So what we're doing here is we're saying that the background, the body background is white, like so. However, we want to make this an option. So whatever color the user has input, we want to appear here for background. And all we do, start with the curly brackets. Again, reference what type of option it is using the prefix of color, and then include the name. And there we have it. That is an appearance option for color, and it relates to the background color of the body element. Now, what will happen is when Tumblr returns this page, this will be replaced with like so. So again, as I said, they work very similar to how variables work. And that's pretty much it for appearance options. It's basically a case of defining this meta information up here and then reference it further out throughout the theme. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to class this video as done, and I will, in the next video, start adding in options for the colors in our theme. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I do hope you'll join me in the next one.